All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon over here, The Blackest Art over here, and The Lonesome Crown up here. All three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I am going to be reviewing the absolutely wonderful, epic horror novel by Dan Simmons called Summer of Night. Now, Dan Simmons, if you followed my channel at all and you've seen my top 10 authors, favorite authors video, you know Dan Simmons finished way up. He might have even been in my top 5, I'm not sure, but I'd have to rewatch the video. But anyway, I got my entire, I got this whole library full of 6,000 books, man. A lot of authors in here. And Dan Simmons, there's my Dan Simmons collection right there. And he's just one of my favorites. I love everything he's done, including this book that I just reread for the second time that I'm going to review for you now. I read this a long time ago, probably over 20 years ago. Sorry, my cat just about knocked over the stand. That's why it was moving, it was jiggling. Kitty's right here. Yes, it's a kitty. And she sometimes she knocks things over in here. Anyway, Summer of Night came out in 1991. I probably read it in the late, like 97 or so, for the first time, and now I just reread it here. Let's talk about the cover first, because I love graphic design and cover illustration. I mean, this has got a, it's just kind of like got a, a late 1980s, early 1990s horror novel feel to it. It looks like a horror novel. It's got the haunted looking building there. That's about it. It's, it's a cool looking little book. Okay, so what is it about? It takes place in the dwindling town of Elm Haven, Illinois in the year 1960. And it's focused around the old Central School, which is like this 100-year-old hulking fortress in the middle of town that anybody that's ever lived in this town has went to school in, K through 12. And it's soon to be retired, this school, and bulldozed. And so this is 1960 is the last year that the school is going to be open. And the story opens in that school on the very last day, and we get a 4-page introduction. I mean, the first 4 pages of this book are just a beautifully written description of the history of the school, the way it looks, its corridors, its classrooms, its grounds, the outside, how it sits in the middle of the town, all the different types of people that have been through the school, when the school was built 100 years ago. So if this book takes place in 1960, the school, was built in 1860-ish. I think my math is correct on that. 100 years, yeah, okay. Maybe I should go get my calculator and be accurate, but I think I'm close. Anyway, so just the beautifully, exquisitely described for 4 pages. And then we get to talking about the kids that are in the school at the moment. And it's the very last day of the school. And then once these kids are released for summer vacation, that school's going to be closed down. And then we get to see the school through the eyes of some of these kids. And of course, some of them don't give up if the school gets torn down or not. They're just happy that it's summer vacation. Some of them are a little melancholy about it. But one kid named Tubby, after, he decides he's going to wander off out of class. He wanders down into the bowels of the school, and he ventures down into there, and they're spooky and weird, and then weird stuff happens. We don't actually know what happens to him, but the Tubby ends up missing. Vanishes. And then we get our other 5 characters. And this book really is reminiscent of, well, there's more than 5 characters. There's 5 main boys, but this has a plethora of young characters and adult characters. It's chock full of, this looks like a thin book, but it's actually, over 600 pages. And it really is reminiscent of Robert McCammon's Boy's Life. It's a coming-of-age tale for these young kids. Robert McCammon's Boy's Life, I would liken it to, and the the part of Stephen King's It where the kids are in the younger stages. And it's it's kind of a lovingly written love letter to the 1960s, which The Boy's Life by Kim McCammon was, and Stephen King's It was also. And so we get this 1960s atmosphere with this coming-of-age tale, horror tale, about a haunted school. And it's about, 12-year-old kids forging bonds of friendship. It's about the sun-drenched fields that they run through during the summer, them flirting with the girls, it's like they're flirting with the girls, they're getting in trouble with the bullies, they're fighting the bullies, they're dealing with their parents are dealing with them, they're riding their bikes, they're doing all the cool things that kids used to do in the summertime during summer break. Now kids just get on their phone and play, Pokemon or whatever the I don't know what kids do anymore. But it's certainly not as fun as what I did in the 80s or what the kids did in the 60s. And how could you write a coming-of-age tale nowadays with kids what would we do? All the kids would be sitting at home in their own bedrooms playing video games and with their nose buried in their phone. There would be no adventure. It would suck. Royally suck. Oh man, us people that were born a long time ago are way luckier than the kids born today. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And books like this make you appreciate your youth so much. Anyway, so, amongst all of this young 12-year-old angst and adventure, there's also a war of blood against an arcane abomination that stalks the night in the form of this haunted school, and maybe the people that used to work in the school, like the school administrative. We don't know. Tubby is missing. And these 5 12-year-old boys want to find Tubby. Tubby is gone. His parents are like, where's Tubby? And the school won't answer. The school is like, hey, Tubby went home. Last day of school, we saw Tubby walk out of here and he went home. So if he's missing, that's y'all's problem, not ours. And the parents are like, no, Tubby never came home from school. Now these 12-year-old boys, they think maybe something's up with the school, the people that run the school, and all this. And because the school is creepy, it starts making noises. Weird things are happening in the town. And Dale, he's kind of one of our main characters, and he's kind of like this crew cut, kind of little 60s kid, and he's close with his brother Lawrence. Dwayne is probably my favorite. He's this fat farm kid. He's hella smart. But his dad is like this drunk, and everybody kind of knows about his drunken dad and the fact that he lives on a farm kind of way away from town. And he's sort of like this outcast that these other boys have kind of brought into the fold. Mike, he's the handsome one. He kind of's described as a sort of like a young Kennedy. Kevin, he's the nervous, freckled-faced kid, kind of the awkward one. And then Harlan is like this square-faced, sarcastic jokester of the group. And so we follow these 5 boys as they try to figure out what the is going on with this old haunted school. Where did Tubby disappear to? And a myriad of other things that happen, which I don't want to spoil for you because just, if you've read Robert McCammon's Boy's Life or Stephen King's It, and you're looking for something else that's equally as good, this would be your book. I give this a 10 out of 10. I think most every Dan Simmons novel I've read and reviewed so far has got a 10 out of 10. This one too.